Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me are two people who love to run around station wagons. It's Megan Hoffmeyer and John Levengood.
I want to
tackle
that.
Sorry, I had to get back in the car first.
No, so thanks for joining me on this episode. So if you go to Movies, Films, and Flicks, you'll see this article that I wrote. It's really in-depth. It's called Tracking Michael Myers' Movements in Halloween, where I basically just tracked all of Michael Myers' movements in Halloween. Found out he never used his blinker, which answered one of my questions from one of my other data posts. If he ever uses a blinker, he does not. And
which Halloween for the non-horror person?
So this is a 1978 original classic. So it's not the latest Halloween, the 2018 Halloween, that ignores every Halloween except for the 1978 Halloween. It's not the 1998 Halloween H2O 20 years later that ignores every one of the Halloween movies except for the first two. And then it's not Halloween, Rob Zombie's remake.
And it's not Halloweeny?
No, it's not Halloweeny. And
which ignores subtlety.
Yeah. In which there's a lot of property destroyed. But this one, this article was fun for me. Meg, you did this great diagram on here once again if you look at tracking Michael Myers' movements in Halloween. But John, this one was fun for me because, alright, so there's a scene in this movie, which I'm sure you're familiar of, where Laurie's in a classroom, and the teacher is just droning on with a boring lecture. She looks outside and she sees Michael Myers standing next to a station wagon, which he stole prior in the film. She looks back at her teacher, and when she looks back, the station wagon is completely gone. It's gone. So she didn't see it.
Dun, dun, dun.
So she didn't see it, which means when she looked back, Michael must have seen that. And all right, so here's a theory. I got to ask you guys two theories, because when I put this up on Reddit, I had this was the biggest controversy about this. Did Michael Myers run around the back of his station wagon? Did he run around the front of the station? So he's on the passenger side. Does he run around to the front driver's side, around the back? Like, does he go around the back or around the front? Or does he open the passenger door?
Starsky and Hutch hood slide.
Or does he open up
crawl through the middle?
Yeah, does he open up the passenger door and butt scoot over to the driver's side?
Probably. It was a bench seat, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so which one of the three do you think it is?
I think probably jump in the passenger side and scoot over because it's a bench seat. It's not like the consoles. It's too bad he didn't have push button start like we have today.
Now, he needed 15 seconds to get away. Yeah, he did not have a push start, that's for sure. So he needed 15 seconds. So what do you think, John?
Could the car have been running?
Well, it's not. It's late October, which is really cold up north, and there's you can't see the exhaust in the car.
Okay, all right.
Right?
Noted.
So that's what you kind of got to think about, right?
Okay.
So the key...
Maybe it was a windy day.
What do you think, John? Did he run around the back, the front? And I asked this because I tested all three of these theories out with my truck in my driveway.
And you needed 15 seconds for your fastest run.
Yeah.
I mean, your truck
But
is
if you
quite
did a
bit
hood
bigger.
slide, maybe 13 and a half seconds.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, you could hood slide on a station wagon. You couldn't hood slide your truck.
But you know why I have to disqualify my hood slide? No running start. He's already standing there, so he couldn't do a hood slide.
He could do a belly flop dive over it.
Put some wax down on it beforehand.
Like when Jonah Hill tries to do a hood slide and he flops over it in 21 Jump Street.
And so someone also asked me, hey, this is a vision. She's not really seeing him. But on the Blu-ray, there's a commentary with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter that actually happened. So in this scene, you always think of Michael Myers walking. You see him running earlier in the film. But this means whatever he did, he had to do it with haste to get away. So, John, how do you see it?
I think he went around the front of the car. I think that's people's default behavior. I think he scrambled around the front of the car, got in, the keys were already in there, started and go.
Yeah, and he had 15 seconds to do that.
And literally, the moment that she turned her head away from him,
he
started moving.
Yeah.
The moment. The very moment.
Yes.
He could see her eyes, the white of her eyes, and the moment she turned her head, he did that.
He does that several times to Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie and other characters. There's another scene where she's walking home and she's standing near some hedges and she kind of looks away, and he has 26 seconds to walk away from the hedges and go behind a house. I tested that as well. He could have done that pretty easily. But he's basically playing hide and seek with these babysitters.
He behaves like a cat, though. So you know how when you're playing with your cat and you're around a corner and every time you peek, the cat's closer, but you never see the cat moving. You know, when people do those videos.
Yeah.
So that's what he's doing. The moment that you break, that he can't see the whites of your eyes, he moves.
Oh.
He's a cat.
He's being quite devious with this.
And what I love is this moment, if you go look at the posts, it takes place after Michael slams on the station wagon's brakes when Annie yells speed kills at him. So he drives around the corner, right? Then he runs 200 feet to some hedges. I counted the steps. And then he waded up the sidewalk. And then he started peering through the cracks of the hedges until it was safe to step out. Then he plays peekaboo. And then he walks away after he can't see the white of her eyes anymore.
Tanya, he's a cat.
He's very cat-like.
He's such a cat that he hates dogs and he eats them and strangles them.
He does.
It's Halloween hide and seek.
He eats a cat in this movie. Or a dog in this movie, right?
Well, they find the dead dog, right, in the house.
Yeah.
And the guy even says, like, oh, you know, maybe there's some kind of varmint, like, did it. And Loomis is like, no, it was him. And you told me this. I was like, he ate a dog? And you're like, dude, I'm 98% sure he ate a dog. And then I watched again. I'm like, he ate a dog.
And he ate rats in Halloween Resurrection. He loves eating animals.
That dude ate a dog. And then later, in the back of the house, when the girl's babysitting, he strangles a dog. You see the dog's legs go limp.
Yeah. He hates dogs.
He is a cat put in the body of a man to take revenge on humans and dogs.
Oh, man, don't say that. Now I won't hate him.
And he loves... Megan loves Michael Myers now. And he also loves sheets. I wrote an article about this, but in this movie, he's...
Our cats love sheets.
Yep, our cats do love sheets.
He's a cat.
In this movie, he's watching Lori in her bedroom. She looks at him, right? But she never leaves... She never stops looking at him. And then he disappears. So I'm thinking he waited until a sheet blew at the perfect moment. So I'm watching this movie over and over, counting every step and times, and then reenacting everything the best I can. And, so that happened. But the big one where Megan drew this wonderful, what do you call it, a graphic for this, Meg?
Sure, diagram, something or other.
Megan drew an amazing diagram to kind of break down at the end. Yeah, his movements when he is hunting, I have her character in this.
Annie?
Yeah, Annie, when he's hunting Annie at her house. He's all over the place, John.
And it's got convenient times on it. You can follow along.
And I have a timeline on this, too.
This illustration makes me think of taking a driver's ed written exam, and it's like, which of these three places should you watch out for danger? Like, kind of thing. This looks like it was done with CAD, too, though. Like one of those, like, computer automated design things that an architect would use.
Yeah, use Photoshop, right?
Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator.
Adobe Illustrator?
I like using that for most stuff. Yeah, I draw those with lines.
Yeah,
I like that it says MA Designs there on it.
Yeah, but this one, so he's at one side of the house, and he goes over and starts looking into a door. Then he goes back to the other side of the house, right? And then he crosses over to another side, goes back to another area, goes back to the laundry room, goes to the other side of the laundry room, goes to the back door, goes back to the car, and then goes to the garage and kills Annie.
By the way, with how sneaky he is, right? Let's go with my cat white of the eyes theory. The moment that the white of the eyes are broken, it moves. Like, he knows where he's going to go. The moment the sheet's up looking at Lori, he moves, right?
Yeah.
He's okay. As sneaky as he is, he knocks down a hanging flower pot on the back porch.
Yep. Yeah, he's knocking stuff. Do you think he did that on purpose?
You almost would have. How are you that sneaky and you screwed that up?
So listen, sometimes the cats get a little out of control when they're really into the chase and their little back legs go flying and they hit stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they go on their hind legs and they're like waving their arms back and forth like they know what to, like a kitten doesn't know what to do.
So you've met our cat.
Sometimes they'll like scramble with their back feet, sort of like a bunny.
You've met our cat
knock
Stella.
Stuff over.
She's very graceful. She's very little. She's very lithe, and she can jump extremely high, but she gets goobery sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I think...
Scatty.
Yeah, scatty. So I think Michael Myers might have gotten scatty.
So it's almost like point 8 on the diagram at the back door where he knocks this thing off. It's almost like maybe he thought he was going to bat at that string, but then he decided it was a bad time to bat at the string. It's like he started to lift up his knife hand, and he's like, oh, crap.
But this is like a 20-minute scene where he's all over the... So you're right, he just plays games, right? Michael Myers in this movie is like he's a hunter.
So I don't know if I'm cutting you off. Are you getting to
her
getting in the car?
No, go.
Okay, so she's going to go to the car in the garage eventually to pick up her boyfriend. I think his name is like Paul or something.
Yeah.
So she's going to go pick up Paul because she dropped off her babysitting fare across the street with Laurie Strode to watch The Thing. And she gets in the car. When she first goes to the car, though, she realized she doesn't have the keys and the car is locked. She comes back with the keys and the car is unlocked. And when she gets inside, she touches the condensation because and this is telling us Michael Myers was in that car earlier and he was breathing in there. So at some point he was in the car for long enough to create condensation on the windshield in all this. Because again, she goes to the car's locked. She goes to get the keys, comes back, and just opens the car door, which is no longer locked, and the condensation is there. So with all this movement around, like before all this, he must have been sitting in the car for like 20 minutes to get warm, and then he heard something that maybe initiated this. So maybe number 0 is also in the garage in the car.
Oh my god, he's just, I see, so maybe he ran there, and he just wanted to cool down, and he's just breathing heavy in the car.
Right? He was in there long enough to create condensation.
Oh, I love it. And then he goes back to the front of the house. This guy, no.
So he was in the car, right? He's in the car, creates the condensation, right?
Yeah.
Then he leaves the car and eventually comes back and is waiting in the back seat for her.
Jeez, full circle.
All to mess with her.
And then throughout this day, he's staring at her in class. He cuts eyes in sheets. Michael Myers is a goober.
He's a feisty one.
But that's why I love doing this, because I went outside and so it's funny too. I pulled on my driveway, it's kind of on a slope and I didn't want to deal with it like that. So I pulled it out into the cul-de-sac and I'm running around the truck to see the fastest way. I hope neighbors didn't see me. You couldn't walk.
I have a couple other points. I think that he was in the car getting warm when she was hanging out the back window of the laundry house.
Yeah. Oh, there
Because why, of all the opportunities that he had to kill her, that would have been the best one.
So he was just getting kind of chilly.
Right, and he's like, I'm cold. I'm going to go in the car. And then he comes out of the car and now it's unlocked.
That'd be funny if he wasn't playing games. He was just running back and forth through the car to get warm.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And then she startled him. And then she just scared him.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to be in here.
And he strangles her.
So Michael Myers is an innocent byproduct of all this.
Okay, another thing. The design of this house. So the garage is not attached to the house. That wasn't an unusual thing for the time. This laundry shed in the back, which has water lines to it and electricity, right? If you have that and you're doing laundry and it starts raining, you're going to hate that you bought that house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely thinking there should be a breezeway connecting them.
Or if it's cold,
right?
Just anything. It's going to be miserable.
Well, I guess it depends on how old the house is.
That is a strange design.
Well, what if it was a house from the early 1900s and they had a wash basin? You know, like one of those boards and whatnot, where they just did stuff in the yard, and then they later decided, whoever moved in, that they wanted a washing machine.
Plumb it out because it's plumbed and it has electricity, and it's a big. It's like a 2-room laundry shed. Like, that's an interesting choice.
They didn't want to turn it into an in-law suite yet.
That's the house that when you're house shopping, you're like, oh, this is lovely. Oh, look, and there's a separate laundry shed, and you don't think to yourself about rain and snow. And then after you buy the house, you're like,
yeah. Now I'm looking at the backyard thinking, could we put a laundry shed out there?
Yep, we should. Thanks, John. Now I have to go do laundry outside.
In the rain.
That's right. Any final thoughts before we get out of this thing? Meg, do you have
It is amazing to me how many different places you see Michael Myers. It's one thing to make a comment about that throughout the entirety of a movie, but this is one, not short scene, right? It's like 12 or 15 minutes, but this is one big scene. And you see him in 10 places. And we have even established at least one additional point when he was in another one of those spots again. Someone wrote this. Yeah. Okay, now he's over there. And then we see her and now he's over there. And then she's back here and we see him over there. And then she's over here and we see him through the window. And then he's over there and there's condensation. And then he strangles her.
Yep.
Like, someone wrote this.
I mean,
we know who.
They did a good job establishing dread, I guess, establishing tension. But when you break down of where he went, it becomes sort of silly.
Like, it's like in the moment, it works really well. Oh, there he is. Oh, shit, now he's there. But it's like when you look at the trajectory of how he went to this side. Now let's go all the way to this side of the house. Oh, wait, now let's go all the way back to that side of the house again.
I kept hoping that he would be on a roof somewhere, and then he would be across the street, and then he would be on another roof.
This is like the dynamic of a kid's playhouse, right? Like a fort playhouse in a backyard, where someone's in the playhouse and someone outside of the playhouse is trying to shoot them with the super soaker through the windows. So every time they move to the opposite side of the inside of the house, the guy has to run all the way to the other side of the house to get them. Yep. Like, when you look at the pattern makes more sense for that.
Yeah, he pinballed.
I feel like someone didn't properly storyboard this.
No, but these are a bunch of young kids making it.
You know what else it's like, Mark?
What?
Okay, you've got a cat underneath something, and